When I got older, like close to my teen years, I got raped.
By the age of 11, I was raped.
I was molested by a cousin of mine.
And at this birthday party, I was raped by several men.
And I became gay. Was it fair what happened in my family? No, it's not. Is life always fair? No, it's not. For some of you it was worse. Some of you were sexually abused by your fathers, brothers, family members, neighbors. Devastating scars it all left on you. Some of you were raised up in a loving, normal home with both loving parents. But then, cousins came for a sleepover, neighbors, friends, you started to experiment, you started to play here and there, you took it too far in your rooms, and you got hooked on a feeling. And your sexual feelings and experiences started with men, and that's why also you became gay.
When the left tells you people are born this way, that was an invention. We came up with that in the 90s and in the 80s to get at the religious right, who were saying, love the sinner but hate the sin. So the gay lobby were like, well, what if we're like women or blacks? What if we don't have a choice? That makes them bigots. So they came up with this born this way thing, which really has no basis in science at all. All the science suggests that it's a mixture of nature and nurture. My own attitude to this has always been, we are all messy, complicated people. And sometimes we're in pain, and sometimes we're confused, and sometimes we don't know what we want. The progressive left insists that we acknowledge their bizarre, complex ways of describing themselves. They're genderqueer, polyamorous, whatever. But if you say you're a gay Catholic, or a gay conservative, suddenly their heads explode.
When I got raped, I was, I want to say 11 or 12. I was old enough to understand. I was snatched up from a little grocery store, a corner store, and he pulled me to the back of the store and raped me on the side of some garbage cans, some city dumpsters.
It went from, me thinking that he was harmlessly trying to help me use the restroom to him actually sodomizing me and me liking it. And then he giving me money for it. That one act, that one event changed my life for the next 20 years.
So by the age of 12, I started shooting up heroin to take the pain away. So and to get more heroin, I will sell my body in the streets of Puerto Rico. So I became a child prostitute until the age of 15.
Where we're playing video games and, you think of birthday parties, birthday cake and balloons and superheroes and whatever there is at a boy's birthday party in 4th grade. But it was nighttime and they had found a pornographic magazine and it had opened the door. We didn't know what was going on. We were just curious little kids and we were looking at this magazine and there was older guys that were there at the party and my age, my peers. And before I knew it, I was sat up on the bed, held down, and I was taken advantage of by several men. The older guys were teaching my peers what to do, and I was crying and screaming. And after this thing happened to me, I remember going outside and sitting on the tan vinyl siding of the house, looking into the sky, crying, physically hurt, emotionally hurt, confused. Why did this happen? I mean, I'm a 4th grader. I'm learning multiplication. I'm getting held back from school because I can't read, and I'm doing tutor after school. I'm learning how to play soccer and basketball and just trying to be, the cool kid at recess, but I'm set on a journey of having to figure out my sexual identity.
So I ran all the way home. My mama, we called the police. They took us to the Chicago police station. We did a sketch of the man, and one of the police was telling me that the sketch that I had came up with was a description of the person who had raped other kids, and he had also killed them. So it was like I was the only survivor.
Pretty much since the day you were born, you were bombarded with messages, gay is okay. And you were taught to say and to conclude that if you like a same-sex person, if you feel something sweet for them, that you must be bisexual or gay.
He manipulated all these things in the Bible to show me that homosexuality was okay because he was gay, even though he was a preacher. So I became a lover with this man, and he was like 15 years older than me. He hooked me on these drugs and made me into a sex slave.
And I started cooking up and conjuring up all of these different things that I would do to the other men that I saw in my life, other boys, and even some of my younger cousins. I took it on myself to act out against them the same way that I had been acted out against. And while I was doing it, I would ask them questions like, hey, is it making you feel good? Are you liking it? Or are you not liking it? You know, trying to make sure that at least I was asking them, and at least they wanted it. At least they weren't having it forced on them like I was.
Should I tell somebody? Will they believe me? If they believe me, then will it be my fault?
I was doing the right thing. At least I asked. You know, I wasn't asked.
So the gay lobby started a big lie in the 80s. Now, the religious right was saying that homosexuality was a sinful lifestyle choice. It was an immoral way to behave, an immoral set of decisions that you were making. It was based on Christian doctrine that, you know, you hate the sin, not the sinner, right? So you can love this person, but what they do is not making God happy. So Christians would say homosexuality is a sinful lifestyle choice. The gay lobby were kind of stumped by this because, of course, according to Christians' own set of values, yeah, it is. There's not much, no way you can go from that, really. So what they did is they kind of came up with this gay gene thing. It's like, wait a minute. What if we're like black people? What if we were born this way and we've got no way to change it? That would make everybody who doesn't like us into the most massive bigots. Let's go with that. So they invented Born This Way, which is now a cultural trope, even in, you know, a couple of years ago in Lady Gaga's songs. But it's a lie, it's not true. The science suggests that it's a mixture of nature and nurture. Steven Pinker thinks it's mostly nurture. In my own experience, it's certainly mostly nurture.
I can't say that being gay, you're born that way, because you're not. That was a choice for me and I may have been born into it, but I was not born gay. And meaning that I had already had sisters around me. So growing up with a whole bunch of females, that already triggered like, oh yeah, he's gonna have some of these women ways, some of these girl ways, which I did. And even today, I'm still got feminine ways, you know what I'm saying? But I still handle mine as a man. So to that question, no, you're not born that way. That's just a choice to celebrate sexuality.
You can choose your sexual actions. You can choose your sexual behavior. You can choose whether you're faithful to your wife or not. You can choose whether you have sex before marriage or not. Everyone has a choice over their sexual actions, and that's the end game. And if you believe certain sexual actions to be immoral, great, that's your right.
I too fell into the trap that society has given us probably for about the last 10 or 15 years, that it should be celebrated. You know, if you're gay, if you're a lesbian, if you're transgender, if you're bisexual, you should just celebrate it. You know, you're living your life, you're happy, you're not harming anybody, you're just loving somebody.
That's the deception, that this is a happy life, this is a gay life, this is a gay pride, we are happy. None of that is true. None of that is true.
And I fell into that trap. I just like you thought about those things and lived it out and just wanted to be happy. You know, I just wanted to celebrate my love. And it really, when I really thought about it and looked back on it, it didn't do anything but add destruction and death into my life. And it led me to act out against my younger cousin, who was 6 years younger than me. 17, and I'm in jail.
So I automatically took on the victim mentality, like, this is my fault, I invited this thing and it hurts, but I have to live with it. And so I kept it all in my heart, I kept it all in my soul, and I buried it in my mind, and I tried to deny what happened, but I couldn't. I mean, it was reality, it took place. And so I remember being in elementary school after that happened, I was the gay kid, I was the girl, I was the one that with that spirit came femininity and not wanting to play sports anymore, and just different weird stuff that I had never experienced before. And kids were, at the soccer field saying, you're a girl or you're a wimp. And I just remember sitting back and they're calling me this, and they're saying that I'm that, and they're saying that I'm, a faggot. They're saying that I'm gay. They're saying that I'm a sissy boy. So rather than trying to fight them and say that I'm not, why don't I just be? And that would be much easier than having to deny all of this stuff.
I think Christians say, well, it's a choice because, right, it's wrong. They believe it's sexually immoral, homosexuality. Okay. Let's assume we're both even on board with that premise. So they say it's a choice because God wouldn't make you that. God wouldn't make you, wouldn't be born gay. Now the science, this idea there's a gay gene and stuff, I mean, they just try and throw out these blanket terms. That's also inaccurate. So do you choose to be gay? God wouldn't make you born that way. Well, that assumes that everyone is either born perfect, and you get into the concept of original sin, or that everyone is naturally perfect, which is, of course, untrue. Just like their basis of saying God wouldn't make you born gay and make you have an affliction that you couldn't kick. Okay, well, a lot of the people saying that are sleeping around with women who aren't their wives, or they're cheating on their wives, or they're watching pornography. Did God make you that way? Or did you make you that way? You didn't choose to want to fornicate with everything that moves as a man. That's just part of your biological hardwiring. It's your affliction to deal with. It's your job to handle it. Now, the choice comes in how you deal with those instincts and how you deal with your proclivities. For example, I have a proclivity toward getting frustrated. I have a short temper. God wouldn't make you that. That's your choice. That's my choice in how I deal with it. It's not my choice in how my brain works.
I'm 17 and I'm in jail messing around with a 42-year-old, and I think that that's the right decision, but that's how I thought. And if you look and examine your own life, there are decisions that you've made that are just as illogical.
It's how my brain works.
That's how crazy that works. That's how crazy same sex, it makes you do irrational and illogical things.
Not only was I addicted to drugs, but I was on alcohol, but I was having sexual relationships with men and women. I was a compulsive liar, but I was also addicted to material things.
We all have proclivities towards sin. It doesn't mean that God put that on us, but through circumstance, people have different proclivities. It doesn't mean that it's moral.
Just really trying to find a place to belong, trying to find someone that would love me, trying to find someone that would affirm me in some twisted, perverted, sexual way. I was trying to find that.
When I was young, I was confused with many feelings. I started to explore and live sexual feelings in me, beautiful feelings. However, I was mixed up. I became gay. And I lived in the misery of homosexuality for many years. You don't have to take the same path. You do have a choice.
I feel like I have the right to speak on gay lifestyles because I've been in a lifestyle my entire life. So I feel like I have the right to say, I feel like every time somebody mentions something about gay, the gay group, they just come after you. They send their goons and you never work in the industry because they are in power. Believe me, they're in power.
I've happened to have the privilege to work very closely with a number of these companies. These are household names like Kodak, American Express, IBM, and the Disney Corporation. Is there any press in the room? Okay, I'm going to tell you. When I said to Michael, because some of these conversations are very private, but when I said to Michael Eisner, CEO of Disney, I said, 30% of your employees are gay. And he said, you are wrong, Elizabeth, it's 40.
So way back in 1998, former Disney CEO Michael Eisner told a homosexual leader that a whopping 40% of the entertainment corporation's employees were gay. This reporter attended and taped the event as an undercover investigator for Americans for Truth about homosexuality. One wonders if a full 40% of Disney employees were homosexual back in 1998, almost 2 decades ago. What percentage of Disney employees identify as LGBTQ today?
They just don't want you to speak upon it. But me, I done went through so much in my life in this gay lifestyle. To be truthfully honest, I have watched friends of mine get killed, get robbed at gay clubs in Chicago. I've got tortured by gangs in the neighborhood and just evil kids in the neighborhood and treating me like I'm an outsider rather than a human being. So you know what I'm saying? I have the right to speak about gay lifestyle. I have sacrificed so much in my life to be gay.
And so now these people can't look at me the same way they might look at a Baptist preacher or a Pentecostal preacher who's not walked in those shoes. They can't look at me and say, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just being prejudiced against me. They know I was in the same thing that they were in.
When I told them that I wanted to be straight and have a family and live life, I got more negativity than I did positive. So it's like, I guess certain things is good for certain people at certain times in life when it's convenient for them, you know, but I got dogged out, but you know, that's cool. I have a strong skin. I have thick skin. I can deal with almost anything you bring or put on the table. I'm gonna deal with that.
Who are we to blame? Ourselves? Definitely not. We were kids, things were out of control, nobody asked us, we didn't know anything. Okay. Shall we blame our parents? I don't think so. I'm an adult today and I see how many mistakes I make and I see people around me, how many mistakes they make. Shall we blame other family members? Maybe they have done something different and intervene, you know. No, they're all people. Shall we blame it on God? Definitely not. This had nothing to do with him. He wasn't invited. That's why those bad things were happening.
I always somehow wanted to know who he was. And though I thought that he hated me for my lifestyle, and though I thought he despised me because I was bisexual, I still wanted to know who he was and ask him questions and ask him, why as a little boy did that happen to me? Why did I keep giving myself away? Why was I dealt this hand of cards in my life? Why? Just question. And I want an answer. And I knew somehow, it was like deep. Somehow I knew he was love and I needed the love that he had.
We are here. We are gay people, right? This is what we have been given. So what do we do with all this? Where do we go from here? We have two options. One option is to continue in homosexuality. I'm the first one, I can do that. Okay, I'm loved by everybody. My friends accept me and love me. My family too. They know I'm gay. I live 5 minutes away from the major gay area in this town. There is another option. Let's forgive. Forgive everyone, everything. Forgive your parents. Forgive your family. Forgive your friends, forgive your enemies, forgive yourself. Let's forgive ourselves. It's not our fault. What happened, happened. Forgive yourself everything and anything that you've done, and everything to those who did bad things to you. Forgive God, if you will. Forgive it all, and then just let it go down the drain. Forget it. Forgive and start living the new life again. We can do that.
I mean, what am I going to do in my life? And all these questions were coming into play. And I remember sitting in my bed at night, looking at my ceiling, crying myself to sleep, saying, God, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to think this way. I don't want to feel this way. I want to love what you love about me, and I want to hate what you hate about me. I know that you hate drug addiction, and I want to hate it too.
And now at this point, 29, I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to leave that alone. I want my own family. I want my family to grow. When I die, I still have my bloodline here on this earth, and that is my goal.
You say you are, quote, no longer into homosexuality. What made you change your mind?
You know what? I'm just tired of the wickedness of the world. I'm just tired of all the lies. God, the Most High, get me right. I don't care about it, just get me right. And I feel like this is my way.
So, Anton, you are literally trying to pray the gay away.
No, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
No, it's not praying the gay away, because it can be lifted. If you really want to change your life and just get rid of it, you can. And
are you now attracted to women?
You are really dumb.
This is not new to me. I know women. I've always liked the way I like the art of a woman. I always liked that. And I guess it got to the point so much that I tried to actually be that instead of being with that. I was trying to be that. And I was like, you know what? It's foolishness. Let me just get back to who I am, you know?
But Antoine, in the past, I've read interviews with you where you have said that you are in fact gay, that you are not bisexual. How does this comport with that? I don't understand how you all of a sudden decide that you're no longer attracted to men, even if you acknowledge that you are additionally attracted to women.
Back then, I was dumb. I didn't know the Bible. I didn't read the Bible. I didn't get into the Bible like I should have done. But when you get older and you get mature, things in your life change. They cannot hold that against me.
The issue that I have with this particular clip is the lady who's interviewing him. She seemed like she had a problem with him saying he's no longer gay. He is a heterosexual man. And the reason why he came to this conclusion is because that he read the Word of God, and the Word of God has had an impact on his particular life now. She says that, what are you going to do? Pray the gay away? I mean, she sounds like a devil.
You are literally trying to pray the gay away. Pray the gay away.
Pray the gay away. Pray the gay away. Pray the gay away.
It sounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, why you keep trying to make that man be gay? The man say he don't want to be gay. The man say he read the Word of God. He felt the conviction of God's Word. Well, leave the man alone. But I guarantee if he was coming out saying something about he was getting married to a man, you'd be happy about that.
So when my testimony came out there, people wrote some very angry letters. And one woman says, how dare you harm our community? You've been, you financed your life over the last 13 years from the backs of gays and lesbians. Now you're going to, harm our community like this. That same woman, 2 years later, wrote me back and said, I never thought that I would be the one writing you back this letter to let you know that I've decided to come out of lesbianism and to give my life to Jesus Christ.
Every time when it comes to black male masculinity, you want to celebrate when he's feminized. Why you want to celebrate that? The man say he want a wife. The man say he want kids. Why can't you celebrate that?
I think when I said on the show, if I could choose not to be gay, I probably would. I meant it because it's more difficult being homosexual. I mean, I get a lot of mileage out of it, but I'd quite like to have kids, and I'm not sure that I want to bring kids up in a gay household because so much of sexual orientation is nurture. I don't want to be responsible for, for him or her not having the best possible, easiest life. I mean, if we could choose, we would all have our children, heterosexual, if only to give them a happier, better chance in life, a better start, to spare them pain.
Gay propaganda wants to sway you into thinking that everything is okay. Nothing can be further from the truth. They want to tell you that just because you feel certain feelings, homosexual feelings, that you are gay and that you were for sure born that way. That is a very easy excuse not to change yourself and to try to live as you were born.
The activists, they just going off of emotions, and that's why a lot of people get things wrong. They go off on emotions rather than the truth. I know so many people who at one point in time in life were straight and decided if this girl played me, I'm sick of this, or this dude hit it on me and I kind of liked it, and they became gay. As to some people like me, they're gay and they're changed. You know what I'm saying? And they become heterosexual. But, you know what I'm saying? It's not something that you're born with. It's the circumstances around you.
I began to organize social events for lesbians of color. The group was called Hospitality Atlanta. It's just a great, at that time we thought, organization. We made a lot of money. We did that for nearly 10 years. And when we got older and decided we didn't want to do it anymore, decided, well, what are we going to do with this mail list? And from that mail list, I decided to launch a magazine. And then when the magazine was launched, surely we began to get contacted by HRC, Human Rights Campaign, and the Victory Fund, and many of the gay organizations. So it was important then to be able to raise up or show a Charlene Cawthorn or a Venus magazine to say, oh no, there's a huge, vibrant black gay community. Look at that through the pages of Venus magazine. So we were an important part of what they were trying to present.
Same-sex marriage proponents told us no one's conscience will be violated. Everyone will be able to live and let live. Embracing gay marriage is not going to infringe on anyone's rights. And what we're seeing is that was a lie.
The strategy is always to get one little foot in the door when in fact the plan means we're going to take over the whole thing. Well, why don't we just get a statement, Mr. School Board President, in your school board policy that you simply acknowledge the fact that we will not fire a gay teacher, or that there may be some gay students that we're going to be okay with, not trying not to be prejudiced toward them through our policy. We just want one little statement in the booklet, when in fact the plan is to take over the whole school system, as we see now 15 years later is happening.
Everybody gets to make a claim if you have a sincere religious belief. You're not always going to win if government has a stronger reason to make you violate your religion, but at least we have a balancing test. So now the gay rights activists don't want us to have this balancing test. They want to put a thumb on the scale and say everywhere and always the small business owner who is Christian will always lose in a same-sex marriage case.
That's the strategy, just to get in under the wire, and then once you get enough of our people in, then to do some major work.
It's ironic because we still have these great religious freedoms, but if we don't soon educate and begin to make sure that we're not paring them back and that we're not giving government officials the ability to kind of slice and dice our freedoms the way that they want, we will lose that standing in the world community.
We would go in under the wire, and basically what we were trained is that don't talk to anybody else about this. All we want to do is get in, talk to the council people. We don't even want the church folk to understand that this vote is coming up soon. We want to be able to fill the auditorium on vote day with all gay and lesbian landowners so that the politicians will say, my God, we kind of have to do this. That's the strategy. That's the strategy. They were able to infiltrate media. And even people, I look at people who started out even with my small publication, are now working for some major newspapers, working for Bloomberg, working for the New York Times, working for Condé Nast. And so it's so true. It's like they gays and lesbians run major media in this country. They just do. And I'm not sure how many, if the church really, well, maybe the evangelical church realizes that, but gays and lesbians really are at the forefront of major media decisions. Every sitcom is going to have a gay character, and it's coming true. It really is. And of course, now gay characters have major talk shows. They really have taken over media. Why? Because media speaks directly into the minds of young people.
I've been very ashamed of my fellow homosexuals and the way that they have behaved toward Christians in some of the media circuses that have happened recently. I have.
So I can go with you on that. But
deeply horrified to watch gay people treat Christians as gays were treated barely 2 decades ago.
Don't we have to let gays have a little time to work with?
To be bullies?
Before suddenly accusing them?
No. We don't need to give gay people any time to be bullies. They have shown, and this is something that I always find interesting about people, how they behave when they enter the corridors of power. How people behave when they are granted the status that they have asked for so long. When gays are finally not just equal in society, but held up as models of paragons of virtue. I mean, you read Gawker or BuzzFeed, you would think that being gay was some kind of moral objective. That being gay was better than being straight in some way. But it seems like a weird proposition on the face of it. But if you read BuzzFeed or Vox or Gawker, you'll get that impression. No, I don't think gay people deserve any time to be bullies, to settle into their position in authority. And I think it does gay people a lot of damage to see these bitter, hysterical, nasty queens bullying and lecturing and hectoring ordinary, decent, law-abiding people of faith. And I thought it was utterly deplorable when that couple who staged a renewal of their vows, they didn't even have a wedding, but they staged a renewal of their vows because they already had the wedding, solely, it seemed, to get a photo opportunity with Pizzas for Memories Pizza, which they tricked this Christian pizzeria into catering their thing. Now, set aside the horror I think most gay people at home will feel about pizza at a wedding. Well, how hollow and bitter, what an awful kind of human being you would have to be to turn your special day, to turn a day of appreciation and celebration between you and your family, the people that you love, into a cheap political stunt.
Right. So
get at people that you think gay people in many cases turn themselves into the worst kind of grandstanding bigots. No, they do not need time to settle in. They're very much settled in.
Had they gone to an Orthodox Jewish baker or a Muslim baker and forced them to do this, the media wouldn't have nearly the fun that they had.
It's important that we help people understand that as people of faith, that we're not trying to use the government to push our ideas and our faith down someone else's throat, but we do expect the government to protect our rights.
At the top of what I thought was my career, my mother passed away. And that was the beginning of the change that God was setting up for me. I bought a 3-grave plot in our family cemetery. That's where my mother is. This is where my grandmother's going to be. And this is where you're going to be. And when you look at, your mortality, it really forces you to think about what's beyond this grave. And I was forced to think about that. Where are you really going to spend eternity? Just getting buried in this ground is not it. It's not over. What's going to happen after that? And that may come sooner than you think. That began to change the way I saw the gay life.
The choices to act out those same-sex attractions, the choice to be gay, the choice to be homosexual, robbed me. It's all it's done my whole life is rob me of things. It robbed me of my graduation in 2007 as a high school senior. It robbed me in 2009 as a graduate from basic training and military police school.
You need to understand that these people gave up on themselves. They live in their own pool of perversion and misery, and they want to sway everybody into that same pool. Everybody and anybody who will accept their thinking, they want to put them there so that they can justify their own ways of life.
I believe it's a choice. You just want to celebrate sexuality and you're using it like you love someone or love the same sex in order to celebrate sexuality, and that's not right.
You need to understand something about the nature of homosexuality before you make any other decisions. Homosexuality is a sin. Yes, it is. Like any other sin, whether it be a sin of indulging too much in alcohol, abusing drugs, or any other sin, it is destructive. Homosexuality is a destructive sin, and it is no joke. It is a very serious thing.
If we succumb to homosexuality, if we decide to live as homosexuals, what we are doing on a deeper level, deeper than sexual level, we basically are deciding to stay on the emotional and spiritual level of a child. That's what we are doing. Because you see, when homosexuality took a hold of us, our growing process stopped. Okay? And we remained immature children on that same spiritual and emotional level. So sure, I mean, we can say, screw you all, who loves me, who doesn't, this is who I am, I'm gonna just live like gay, I'm a victim of it all, I cannot change, I'm weak, I'm poor, these circumstances are above me, I cannot do it, I need a same-sex person to support me and hold me, pity on me, and that's it. But again, that's so unhealthy because we remain undeveloped. We never become what we were meant to be.
I probably would have changed it. If I could take a pill and change it overnight, maybe. Probably not now, because it would be professionally disastrous. I have to wait a few years.
So separate that issue from the idea that you're just making a choice to be gay. And by the way, in that same breath, liberals need to stop saying that people are born that way and they have no choice over their sexual actions. I have friends who are gay who don't want to be gay, or they feel they can change it, and so they go and they've gone to counseling, whether you believe it's effective or not. They personally are not comfortable with the lifestyle, and they want to change their lifestyle. And then liberals attack them and say, you're just being guilted into it. No, some of these people just aren't comfortable with being gay, and they'd like to change it about themselves. Let them make their choice. Let any of these people make their choice.
You know what I do want to do, though? I do want to do that pray the gay away therapy, just to see if it works.
You were literally trying to pray the gay away.
I met Jesus Christ, and he saved me.
God always having his hand on my life, always giving me the choice to either go with him or go with myself.
In that moment, God said to me, look, you're going to choose this day who you're going to serve. I've been here. I've loved you. I've protected you. I've gotten you out of this situation and that situation. I've helped you. You have seen me divide the world. And he has in many occasions. Even as an unsaved person, I recognize the hand of God moving. My God, that had to be God. I couldn't have done that myself. particularly after my mother died. Several things happened that were just a setup. I know that it was God. And I'm like, God, why? And I thought to myself, he's doing this for grandma. It was never for me, because I didn't deserve it.
Even though I was making the bad decisions, he still protected me throughout this whole time.
That God showed me it was me doing that. And that's how he wins us, by the loving kindness and compassion he has toward us. And he said, okay, now I've done all that. And I'm telling you now, today is your day. You're going to choose. And if you choose me, then I'm going to use you. I'm going to make you so happy. And I'm going to use everything all the gifts that I had developed in you. I'm going to use all of that for my own glory. But if you say no, if you refuse me today, then I'm going to allow you to just go on and drift off and do whatever you want. But at the end of that road, there will be judgment, and today is the day you will choose. And I heard that very clearly and very loudly, just as clearly as I'm speaking to you today. He spoke that into my spirit.
The Bible consistently tells us that homosexual activity is a sin. Romans 1:26 and 27 teaches specifically that homosexuality is a result of denying and disobeying God. When people continue in sin and unbelief, God gives them over to an even more wicked and depraved sin in order to show them the futility and hopelessness of life set apart from God.
And I said, no, I'm going to choose you today, God. And of course, the enemy is speaking in the other ear. Well, what about your income? You can't stop publishing Venus magazine. All of my debt load was built on, a certain income coming in every quarter from the publication. I have mortgages. I have, car notes. I have all the debt that is associated with your income. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it. All I know is I've got to trust God in this moment, and I've got to choose God in this moment. Oh yeah, well, what about the speaking engagement that you've already been paid to go to New York City to the Schomburg, New York City Gay Pride? You're going to have to do that. What are you going to go there and say? You can't get saved today, is what the enemy kept saying. You can't get saved today. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to go there and say, but I know that I'm going there as a saved person because I'm choosing the Lord today. And it seemed like after I just gave the enemy the last blow, he just said, okay, well, let me go bother somebody else. And then tears just began to flow. And I felt the overcoming of the Holy Spirit in me like I've never felt before.
It was like liquid love came over my head, my heart, my stomach, my mind, my heart, and my soul. And the Spirit of the living God that morning delivered me and set me free from homosexuality.
And I prayed the sinner's prayer with her, and the Lord came into my heart.
He saved me, and one day I accepted it in my heart.
God, I accept what you have to give me. I accept that you sent your Son, Jesus Christ, to die for my sins. I humbly accept your gift of the sacrifice of your Son.
I just came to the place where I said, I need you, Jesus.
No, because lots of people say it works, and lots of people say it doesn't work. And people say it doesn't work, it's always bigoted, hateful, religious, nonsense. But there are just as many people who you will never hear about because the media doesn't want to report on them, who say, yeah, transform my life. I've got a wife and I've got kids and I'm happy now and I wasn't before. There are all kinds of explanations that the left will come up with as, well, you've just internalized bigotry or whatever. But I'd quite like to try it and see.
And I've never been to a Christian camp where they psychologically beat you to death and tell you you're one thing and this, that. I just don't have time for that stuff. I went and sat in the corner. I prayed to my God, whoever out there, whoever created me, hey, I'm trying to find myself in life and I need your help.
You just have to believe that Jesus actually died for your sins. It's like he didn't came to condemn us. He came to save us. It's like everybody that is born is already condemned. Everybody that is born in this world is like lost, and he came to whoever wants to be saved. They just have to believe, and he saves them. The rest of them, they're in this planet floating around like a big ocean, but they don't know they're drowning. And he's there with a life jacket saying, whoever wants to be saved, just come to me. So I came to him and I accepted him and I was saved.
You've been pouring yourself out into that lifestyle, pouring all of your gifts, all of your being into that, to a man, to a woman, to flesh, when it doesn't even give half back what you've given it. The only way you're going to get more than what you've given is through Jesus Christ.
But I want to talk about atheism because it's been one of the...
Why? It's so boring.
All right, so
boring. Just a couple of people wrong in a room being very angry on the internet.
So you don't like atheists. I sense you almost think that atheists don't exist, that there's some sort of
No. Lesbians don't exist. Unfortunately, there are. Unfortunately, there are atheists.
So you acknowledge that there are people...
There are lots of wrong people in the world, and one of the kinds of wrong people are atheists. Now, the thing I find fun about atheists, I don't really care if somebody believes in God or not. I hope they do. I wish they did, because I know it'd be quite nice if they joined me up there. The reason I have a go at atheists is because it's fun, because they're so thin-skinned. They're like libertarians, or they're like cyclists, or liberal Democrats in the UK, or any other sort of, or feminists, in fact. So they're so easy to wind up. Because how many atheists does it take to change a light bulb? And before you've even given the punchline, people are furious, and there's a Reddit thread about it, and they're just so much fun. And
but why would you be going after the people that it's easy to go after? Every poll shows that atheists are like the most hated minority in the country.
Please. These people aren't victims. These people have some of the most celebrated public intellectuals on their side. Richard Dawkins, the late Christopher Hitchens. These people have huge public intellectuals on their side. Militant atheism, if you like. Atheism is the trendiest thing in the world. Every journalist is an atheist. Everybody in the media is an atheist. You're never going to get somebody laugh at you or look at you weirdly for announcing you're an atheist. You announce you're a Christian or a Muslim or maybe especially a Jew. All sorts of bad things happen to you, right? Nobody looks at you funny, except me. I'm probably the only person. If you announce that you're an atheist, so don't tell me they're victims.
No,
because if this is a privileged group in society that I find it funny to take the mickey out of because they are so touchy.
The average atheist, which an atheist is only brought together by the lack of belief in a deity.
They're brought together by, sort of wispy facial hair, terrible spectacles, sort of long ginger ponytails, terrible thin-skinned natural sort of demeanour, hair trigger temper. These are the primary characteristics of an atheist. Terrible cheap chinos. Yeah. If that's what you want to aspire to, then go right ahead. But, atheists it is not just acceptable, but it is the norm in any metropolitan city in Europe or in America to be an atheist. It is normal to be an atheist. People look at you weird if you're not. Right. I enjoy making fun of them. I enjoy making fun out of everybody. I enjoy making fun out of you. I enjoy making fun out of myself. I make fun out of myself all day on my Twitter feed. That's what provocateurs do.
All right. Well, I can accept that part. I will grant you that part.
The Holy Bible. This book, unbelievers don't like it. They see it as a black book or something like that. But to us, this is the message of love. This is the message of life. This is it. This is it. And this is the one thing that always got me back on track. No matter how I felt. You're not obliged to homosexuality to respond to it. You don't have to respond to it. Even though so many times when we are tempted, the gay impulse wants to show us that this is the only solution. Not true. It's an illusion. It appears to be the only solution, but it's not. If you only stop at that moment for a second and you open the Word of God and get back to it and what it tells you, you're gonna be okay. If you want the victory, you trust this.
The life that you've been living isn't the truth. It's just a lie that you've made yourself accept. Think about it. It isn't something that just naturally flows. It's something you've made yourself accept. It's something you've made yourself conform to. It's something that society has blasted in your face, and you're saying, okay, well, I'm making myself do it, and now society is saying it's okay, so I guess this is the right thing for me. It's not. The way that you're living is not really what God has for you.
The last question he closed with was, where do you see your publication going now? And I knew that was the door that God opened. This is where you tell them. And so I began to say, I said, the direction of Venus is going to change 180 degrees. We're going totally in an opposite direction. Our mission up until now has been to encourage gays and lesbians to stand up and be who they are, in the community, and come out of the closet and be proud and let your parents and neighborhoods know. We're going now in the opposite direction. We want to let gays and lesbians know that this is not what God intended. And I tell you that you could hear a pin drop in that auditorium. The host, the other, I wouldn't look to the left or the right at my friends. I tried not to see faces, you know. I tried like Jeremiah, don't even look at their faces. Just say what God says and let it go forth and let the chips fall where they may. And I said, this is not what God intended. And Venus is going to now instruct people on how to get out of homosexuality. And not only that, but you can't just get out on your own, that it takes a committed relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. And this is what he's done for me. And, you know, it was time for others to speak, but it was like, you know, it took a while for the silence to break up. And I let it sit, you know, there's nothing wrong with silence sometimes. And I didn't say anything and they didn't say anything for a minute. And the host, when he finally got over the shock of it, went on to the next speaker. But then a little fright set in because, of course, there was a reception immediately afterwards. And I thought, oh my God, get out of here. Don't go to the reception. Run to your car and get back to New Jersey real quickly. Don't take any questions. Just go. And the Lord began to say, no, if this is your ministry, then this is where you begin. You're going to stay and you're going to take whatever, comes. And I thought, okay, well, they're going to be pretty ice cold to me. I'm going to be, pretty isolated, at this reception. And, you're going to be standing here and the rest of the crowd are going to be over there kind of looking at you like she's lost her mind. But that didn't happen either. As I stood at that reception, one by one, a person would come over to me and say, I used to go to church and I'm not happy in this life. And I want to get out too. One by one, souls began to come and say to me, thank you for sharing that, for saying that, for being bold enough to say that in this setting. And I knew then what God had in store, that he was going to raise up not only my voice, there are many.
You may be watching and you may be thinking, this dude is crazy. And I am a little bit, but I'm crazy in love for Jesus. And I want to encourage you today that God is not mad at you. He is furiously in love with you. He is so passionate for you and he paid for you. He paid the highest price for you. And I want to encourage you that this is not only for Kagan. The testimony of Jesus is a spirit of prophecy, which in other words just means that what he did for me, he can do for you.
So ask yourself, do you actually want to go to hell because you are too proud to say, okay, I'm wrong, I need help, I need Jesus? Do you want to go to a place that will torment you and rip you apart? Accept Jesus right now before it's too late.
And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished.
Save your soul.
I'm not attracted to men, but I will tell you the first year of changing, I did suffer night terrors and I'm having visions of my past life and they do come and hunt you. That is a lifetime of memories and experiences that you just can't wipe away. So I'm going to have those memories and stuff. But as far as me being attracted to a man, no, I love my wife. When I love somebody, I love that person. I don't drift off.
Homosexuality is not a gift, but salvation is definitely a gift. And God will send his Holy Spirit to live and reside within you, so you'll definitely be able to discern and pick out the real truth from the truth that the truth that are really a lie that the enemy is given to you.
He loves you just like you are, but he's waiting for you to love him just like he is. He is a certain way. He is holy. He has created in order. And whether we like it or not, that's the order he created. He's waiting for us just to love him just like he is.
God does not create a person with homosexual desires. The Bible tells us that people become homosexuals because of sin and ultimately because of their own choice. A person may be born with a greater susceptibility to homosexuality, just as some people are born with a tendency to violence and other sins. That does not excuse the person's choosing to sin by giving in to sinful desires. If a person is born with a greater susceptibility to anger, rage, does that make it right for him to give into those desires? Of course not. The same is true with homosexuality. However, the Bible does not describe homosexuality as a greater sin than any other. All sin is offensive to God. Homosexuality is just one of the many listed in 1 Corinthians 6:9 through 10 that will keep a person from the kingdom of God. According to the Bible, God's forgiveness is just as available to a homosexual as it is to an adulterer, an idol worshiper, murderer, thief, etc. God also promises the strength for victory over sin, including homosexuality, to all those who will believe in Jesus Christ for their salvation.
Well, if I were to take a straight pill, my career would be over. But I think I probably would, and I'll tell you why. And I've never really heard this from any other gay people, but it always seems very obvious to me. It's not about bigotry or homophobia. Because we could live in a perfect society, and in many ways we pretty much do. Where people are not discriminated against on the basis of their sexuality. But for me, and I'm sorry for some of this is going to be TMI for some of you. For me, not being able to create a child with a person you love, while you're loving them, always, that gets you, like, you notice that. It's like, okay. And at some point, when I'm tired of triggering special snowflakes on campuses, and... well, thank you. No, look, I do it for you. At some point, I'm going to get tired of that, and I might quite like a little Milo. And, under normal mechanics, that's not possible. And for that reason, I think I would take the pill, yeah. And I think it's I don't find that, the left, of course, if you have any even slightly nuanced position on your own identity, they will call you self-loathing. Well, I think it's fairly obvious I don't hate myself. I don't hate anything about myself. But that doesn't mean that if I didn't think about it carefully, I might not choose a different path. Unfortunately, I think at this stage, I'm probably locked in.
We can achieve so much more than living homosexuality. We can live a truly good, loving, and godly mark while walking on this planet.
Once you start changing with this word, your feelings will follow too, and your body will follow too. God loves you. God loves us. Take that love, live it, and you are okay.
And of course, the most important consistency is loving the people and not necessarily accepting what you view to be the sin. Louder with Crowder. We'll be back after this. If you like this video, subscribe by clicking my face. And if you hated it, well, join the club.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husbands, because they're raping everybody around here.
I go to sign into my YouTube account. You notice up to the top left side of the screen, a rainbow flag said proud to be. YouTube knows there are millions of people that visit this site that are traditionally minded, that find this extremely offensive. To take the rainbow, which is God's covenant sign to humanity, that he would never flood the earth again, and to take that and put it to something like homosexuality and make that an emblem, and then for YouTube, that is used by eons of the public that disagree with this view. It's just a reminder that we are in the days of Noah. How can you think about the days of Noah without thinking of the rainbow?
Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot. They did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed.
And now here we are, seeing rainbows everywhere, and it's just not YouTube, it's the NFL, the NBA. It's getting in everywhere you look. YouTube, 2 thumbs down to you. There's a lot of people that disagree.